Next, we'll hear from Laura Marks. Laura is a media, art, and philosophy scholar with an intercultural focus. Over the past 25 years, she has written 5 influential books, introduced a new theory of multisensory perception, challenged the origins of media art through her explorations of non-Western genealogies, and proposed sustainable solutions to the impact of media on the environmental crisis. She is also internationally recognized as a curator of experimental media art. Laura Marks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I apologize for the misspelling on my slide. I'm very grateful to the organizers at the Royal Society for allowing me to give this talk at the cafe. And I'm also grateful to the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada for funding some of this research. I also want to acknowledge that much of the work that I've done was carried out on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And finally, what I'm going to be talking about is coming from my forthcoming book called The Fold, From Your Body to the Cosmos. So I'm beginning by positing a number of things. We live in a cosmos. It consists of one single surface that's infinitesimally folded. Oops, I'm not quite ready for that. Each fold is a monad or a soul. All monads coexist on a surface that's continuous in space and time. And thus, all of us beings are microcosms. That is, we enclose relations with the entire cosmos within ourselves. And I'm developing on ideas from Leibniz and Deleuze. So here is a diagram that I draw from Leibniz's monadology. And this is a diagram of a cosmos that has only 6 cells, souls or monads in it. So a soul is constituted of the relations that it has internalized, which are now private. A soul then, or a monad, is a temporary fold in the cosmos that brings together a point of view. Leibniz, enjoying the then new technology of microscopy, perceived the universe as packed tight with souls nested within each other. There are fish in the ponds, and each fish is full of ponds, which are full of fish. So ensouled matter is everywhere, and souls recombine into larger, more fleeting souls, so that effectively matter is composed of souls. In the common division between organic and non-organic, life is usually thought to be an attribute of organs. However, I expand the definition of soul to comprise almost anything that can perceive or prehend, which is Whitehead. So I really appreciated the talk this morning by the neuroscientist suggesting that neurons have, he said, not consciousness, but awareness. So things that don't do anything still have experience, the way a chip of stone packed side by side with other chips of stone will feel their pressure upon it, will feel the passage of air and water, the change in temperature, and will register these in changes to itself. And passion, which is feeling while being unable to act, is a soulful way to be. Therefore, rocks are passionate. Converting perception to prehension after Whitehead also obviates the difference between material and immaterial and allows you to think of everything, including thought, as an organism. After Aristotle, the soul of a thing consists partly in what it can do. Therefore, ideas have souls. Words and phrases have souls that are born anew with each utterance. Works of art have souls because they do things. And I also want to assert that souls can be brought into being by a process that constitutes them as a single entity that effectively binds them in a temporary skin. Since all monads coexist on a surface that's continuous in space and time, folding this surface creates new assemblages of souls. Therefore, an assemblage, defined as a temporary collective defined by what it does, has its own soul. I like to call the beings that come together in this way soul-assemblages, a set of heterogeneous but related and souled entities that come together to make something happen. A soul assemblage can be a molecule, a cell, a planet, a person, a country, a factory, a coalition. When a soul assemblage comes together, it creates a membrane, a provisional collective skin. And this temporary assemblage of souls can reshape itself in new formations that resist the conventional folds we're usually stuck in. So soul assemblages have the potential to make change. Defining ensouled matter as a process or an assemblage allows us to overcome the prejudice against human-made things as lacking life. Technologies have souls, in part because they encompass the history of human labor, as Marx remarked. Or, for example, on February 26, 2021, when the Katsi First Nation welcomed the COVID-19 vaccine with a ceremony, Chief Grace George said, "We believe this vaccination has a spirit." So I know you're looking at this diagram for a long time. I'll give you another of my diagrams of monads in their cosmos. This is an open cosmos. Now, Leibniz's term for that membrane that holds monads together is vinculum, a unifying bond, and it's the interior membrane between the monad's inner surface and its dominated monads. It's necessary, so in fact, we really do need to look at this one, because this is also a diagram of a dominating monad comprised of its dominated monads. And it's necessary for a monad to own others, he reasons, the way our own bodies enfold the organs that are necessary for us to live. So I enfold my heart, my liver, my blood cells, etc. The knowledge that one's life is predicated on, or we could say populated by, other dominated lives makes it harder to say, I have a body, I have a plantation, or I have an idea. Predication itself, the logical and grammatical presumption that predicates belong to a subject, starts to come into question. In short, everything that makes us what we are, everything we have, comes from outside us and is only temporarily closed within our membrane. All of us humans, and most other complex entities too, are therefore soul assemblages that depend for our subsistence on provisionally enclosed others, acknowledged or not. Leibniz and other Enlightenment philosophers had the leisure to spin their transcendental thought systems and their theories of the modern subject because they, their nations, and their patrons were amassing wealth in the Americas, using the labor of enslaved African people and their descendants on land expropriated from indigenous peoples of these continents. Therefore, the historical concept for Leibniz's, the context for Leibniz's vinculum concept is slavery and genocide. And in our time, the relationships are much the same. Okay. The soul assemblage, which is my concept, reconfigures the vinculum as a temporary boundary and ownership as a temporary appropriation. So now we get to enjoy this diagram of 6 monads in an open cosmos. And you can imagine this as a snapshot in time of monads that are expanding and contracting, complicating, combining and recombining, and importantly, changing their amplitudes in time. There's also the possibility of monads coexisting in multiple cosmoi that are incompossible, but I'm not going to talk about that. Soul assemblages can be assessed in terms of health, and it depends on the degree to which all of their internal monads are able to thrive. And further, if our assemblages do not seek to dominate cosmic elements, but to share with them, or in Simondon's term, to co-modulate with cosmos, then these assemblages are likely to be healthy for all parties. The Capitalocene in which we live is itself a toxic soul assemblage that includes even the coalitions that are gathered to do battle with it. Okay. So I work on media art, and media works are also soul assemblages. They're composed of cosmic matter, light and sound waves. Actually, I want you to see this one. No, sorry. Yeah. So media works are composed of light waves, sound waves, analog and digital electronic flows, metals, petrochemicals, plant materials, the increasingly rare metals used to support semiconductor miniaturization, of which we've heard quite a bit this morning, the unrecyclable, sad polymers that encase our devices, laptops, cameras, and TVs. So a great deal of moving image media is toxic to the planet, and it proliferates waste and chemicals. And my research topic, the unsustainable carbon footprint of streaming media. So this diagram is here to show that streaming media is thought by many people to be immaterial simply because the storage means and the network or the transmission means are not on the same site as the means of reception. Okay. Yeah, streaming video was calculated in 2019 by the French think tank, the Shift Project, to constitute 1% of total global greenhouse gas emissions. And this has been, well, my research team has corroborated this estimate. We're a team of 2 media scholars and 2 ICT engineers. And this 1% and rising of total greenhouse gas emissions that streaming video contributes. That includes video on demand, YouTube and other tubes, video embedded in social media, video conferencing, video calls, and all other uses of streaming video. So you can understand how that's expanding a lot. And ICT, information and communication technologies themselves, are calculated to contribute about 4% and growing of global greenhouse gas emissions. So streaming definitely constitutes a toxic soul assemblage. However, some soul assemblage media fold human and cosmic forces together in salubrious ways, such as the Small File Media Festival, which I founded in 2020. Small File Media Festival models a paradigm for art and entertainment in the era of collapse informatics. Small file videos show that a movie does not have to be high definition, and it can still be intensively pleasurable without contributing to the internet's expanding carbon footprint. So the small file media itself is a cosmic soul assemblage that pulls together artists, environmental activists, audiences, servers, broadband networks, new devices and obsolete devices, video compression algorithms, electrons, rare metals, ceremonies, dance parties, and other entities into a common fold. And in our festival, we recommend 1 megabyte per minute, and the movies themselves are a maximum of 5 minutes in length. So each of these movies, a maximum 5 kilobyte movie in the festival, is a jewel-like microcosm, which is also a healthy soul assemblage. So finally, if media can co-modulate with the cosmos instead of attempting to dominate the cosmic flows that constitute them, then they are not only healthy soul assemblages, but cosmic soul assemblages. Thanks.